I recently quit my 9 to 5 to become a full-time content creator, which was never in the plan. I used to work in fashion and honestly, I hated it, but I thought that's what I had to do. So last year, I started posting content about one of my favorite passions, finance and investing. I know the two are completely different worlds, but slowly over time, I hit my first 10k followers, then 100k, and I made a couple of £100 at the start, nothing to write home about, and recently I just had my first 5-figure month. In the last year and a half, my life has become unrecognizable. I moved out, I got featured in Vogue, I got PR from my favorite beauty brand, but most importantly, I became my own boss. Some may look at this and say it's just luck or privilege, and while I do think those two things are important to recognize and they did play a part, I was consistent, and alongside a 9 to 5, 5 days in the office, it was pretty tough, but I will say it was so worth it because now I'm fully independent. I have total time, location, and financial freedom. So this was my first week being self-employed, and I was really curious to see how different it would feel. First things first, it does not feel like work, which is obviously everyone's dream, but with that comes pros and cons. I would say the main problem with this is it's hard to separate work from fun. In fact, one day I had a 13-hour screen time, which is just diabolical. Of course, a lot of people working a full-time job would be the same, 8 hours at a desk, few hours watching TV and then scrolling in the morning. So it isn't too bad, but it just made me think I don't want to be working 13-hour days. It kind of made me rethink the future of my content, maybe outsourcing editing or finding new ways to create sustainably. But honestly, I feel like this was just me overcompensating, putting in the hours because it was the first week. Number two is you have to say no to more things. I used to come from such a scarcity mindset. When these brand deals started coming in and I got invited to events, it was so easy to say yes to everything. And in fact, as soon as I announced that I went self-employed, a lot of brands wanted to hop on a call with me to discuss more things with me. And while I totally don't mind that, and some of them are really lovely, it makes you realize as a content creator how easy it is to slip into like unbillable hours or hours that you are giving out information, giving out your time and not really getting anything back. This can make you feel like you're stretched out too thin. So what I've done now is looked at my calendar, and even though there's some empty slots, those empty slots are there for a reason. Yes, I'm technically free, but I don't have the capacity, and that's the main word. What I've learned is sometimes saying no is the biggest power move. Saying no to others can often mean saying yes to yourself. Number three is you need a clear structure. The way I like to set out my day is simple. I like to do the hard tasks at the start, the medium ones like filming content in the middle, and the lower effort tasks like emailing or replying to DMs at the end. That way I'm still hitting my goals and keeping momentum. I will die on this hill, but whether you're at a 9 to 5 or self-employed, I think everyone should start the day with an hour at least of something that benefits you in the long term. No one else, simply a personal project that is for you. Mine was creating content because it required zero upfront costs, but yours could be a hobby or business that you can pour into. It's all about delayed gratification, doing something now that your future self will thank you for. Number four, it is really easy to get in your head. Working for yourself can be lonely, but that's not the hardest part. The hardest part is perspective. I'll look at my content on one particular day and think all of my videos are flopping and no one likes me and that somehow I've fallen off. And then I'll meet people in real life who tell me, Mia, you're so inspiring, you're doing so well. And that can cause some disconnect because you don't actually know how you're doing. It is hard not to tie your self-worth to views, likes and numbers. Even though I try to give off a vibe that I don't care, it's really easy to. So sometimes you need to put the phone down, get perspective, talk to other people. Otherwise it's so easy to get sucked into your own bubble. Number five, the importance of networking and community. It is pretty easy to isolate yourself as a creator or self-employed person. But recently, a really big creator and business owner reached out to me for a call, and I was thinking, what is this about? Are they trying to sell me something? And honestly, they were like, no, I just wanted to say hi. In the future, we can help each other. It's a reciprocal thing. And I was just like, oh, people actually do that. And I almost felt bad that I wasn't giving any value back because I'm almost at my infancy stage and this person was in their maturity stage. And I think I just have to break out of that mindset that just because I'm starting, it doesn't mean that I can't give value to people that have been doing it longer. I think we can always learn something. Not only that, it makes the job feel so much less lonely and you have someone to relate to. So don't be afraid to reach out to people, ask questions about rates, management, because you can't be expected to know everything yourself and it's a very gate-kept industry. So I'm sure I'm going to get a few questions asking how I even did this. So I covered the topic of monetization in my last video, but I wanted to touch on what actually made me go full-time because yes, it is about the finances and being able to support yourself, but it's also about the mindset shift because I was making money from content creation for a while, and while it wasn't a full-time income, I definitely could have taken the leap without a backup plan, but I was still stuck in employee mode. So the first harsh lesson that I had to learn is if you don't build your own dreams, you are building someone else's. I used to think being an employee meant safety, a steady paycheck, structure, predictability, but what it actually meant was I was stopping myself from reaching my full potential. I think a common misconception about content creators is that they're a bit lazy or they don't really do a lot of work. And I have to say, the work that I do is nothing compared to manual labor or the work I was doing in fashion. It's enjoyable. But I realized with my work ethic and the amount of effort that I was putting in at my 9 to 5, if I could just pour that into myself and create systems and, do the admin for myself, then I could make a living. A lot of people think a side hustle or content creation or all these various things take too much time and energy, and they do. It's annoying to have to do it around a 9 to 5, but you're already pouring in so much energy to someone else's dream. I would strongly not advise anyone to just quit their 9 to 5 because they're unhappy. It's worth sticking it out. And building a business, building anything requires discipline, which I think you have to build, and a 9 to 5 can be a perfect stepping stone for doing so. But it doesn't have to be your forever thing. And if you're one of those people like me where you did not know where you'd be in the next 5 or 10 years, then stop tying yourself, your identity to your 9 to 5. Have something outside of it that you're building. Number 2, I used to feel kind of icky for selling. There's kind of this stigma around selling out or commercializing yourself. It's like, oh, that person's given into capitalism by creating a personal brand. But something that I learned recently is if you don't sell your own product, you have to sell someone else's. Yes, in my brand deals or my content, I try not to be salesy. I try to just post my organic stuff. But if I have to do an ad, I will try my best with storytelling to make it not seem like an ad. But at the end of the day, if someone is going to judge me for doing an ad on my own page, that's on them. Yes, I do believe influencers have a responsibility to uphold their values and to be a good influence on a lot of people. Yes, I do agree. So I do try to work with brands that align with my values. But when people have an issue with the whole idea of selling in the first place, like it's evil or manipulative, those people are likely also selling someone else's product. So the faster you get over the fear of selling, the faster you'll actually start making money. Number 3, I'm sorry to say this, but you have to be obsessed with it, like an unhealthy obsession with wanting to make content. That is the only thing that kept me posting every single day for the last year and a half. No one in their right mind would get up at 5 a.m, put their makeup on, film a video, edit on the tube, post during their lunch, get home, film again, and then do more editing. And I get you have to see some kind of results to fall in love with the process. You have to think, oh, this is worth my time. I get that. Like there has to be some reason for you to get obsessed. But just know, if you think you sound a little bit like me in terms of mindset of like really wanting to make it happen, it won't be a matter of if, it will be a matter of when. When you are obsessed with something, it consumes you. And no, I don't mean in a super unhealthy way. I purely just mean that you are able to get into the flow state. The flow state is essentially where you forget about everything else and only focus on the task at hand. This doesn't necessarily have to come from work. It could be from playing a video game, but just know that if you're able to enter the flow state through making content, I just know that you will do well. Number 4, I wish someone had told me that you don't have to just talk about one thing. I'm always told to think of 3 content pillars, stick to one niche. And yes, these are super important when you're starting out to just establish what kind of account you are. I get that. And sticking to personal finance and investing helped me grow and made me become known for something. But the key thing is people do not fall in love with the topic. The topic of personal finance and investing is not that interesting. It's not about what is said, it's about who's saying it. That being said, you can then talk about whatever you want as long as it's some problem that you're dealing with or solution that you're trying to find. For example, when I branch off into topics like self-improvement or slow fashion, they're both related to money. Like people that are interested in self-improvement are probably also interested in personal finance. Same with slow fashion. Coincidentally, being kind to the environment also is good for your bank account. There's a quote from my favorite creator ever, Dan Koe, and he says, "You are the niche." All content creation is about solving your own problems publicly. If you've solved a problem yourself, you can likely help someone who is in the same position you were in. We often think that we have to show up as experts with PhDs in the topic that we're talking about. The truth is, 99% of people on social media are beginners. And what I mean by that is they're beginners in whatever niche topic you're going to try and talk about. Plus, they're not even on the app to learn something. They're on the app to be entertained, and you're there to reel them in. Therefore, a lesson I learned after a year and a half of making content is it's not about the topic, it's the packaging. The reason someone will click on a YouTube video is because of the thumbnail and the title. That's why clickbait exists. The reason why someone that has no interest in stocks might watch a video of mine is because I related it to makeup, for example. Therefore, if you're just trying to give tips and tricks and just trying to give value without adding personal touches, a bit of personality and your own experiences, that is probably the secret sauce that is missing from your content. So my first week was a lot, but it taught me so much about my boundaries, how much work I actually want to be doing. With anything in life, getting thrown in the deep end, not knowing what you're doing is often the best thing that can happen. I have to say, I am one of those people that has insane bias to action, and that's been the biggest factor to my success, I think. If I have an idea, a thought, I act on it immediately because the universe truly rewards action, not intention. Be so insanely committed to the speed of delivery of your ideas, and trust me, you can't fail. I'm trying out a new thing with this format. It's kind of weird because I know with vlogs you're supposed to talk, but I accidentally didn't film any talking parts. But I also didn't want to tell you just what I had for breakfast. I wanted to actually talk about a topic. So let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, definitely subscribe. And if you want more content from me, then definitely check out my newsletter at frugalchic.co.uk. I will see you guys in the next one.